the EHEX, PHEX parity. I don't know if you heard the Johnny clip. He said that the OA could, obviously there's no expectations, pair EHEX and PHEX and liquidity with so much that it is impossible to change the ratios, and they will always be at parity. Do you think that can happen and that will happen? Do you think that would keep it at parity? I guess, do you agree with that? And I mean, I guess mathematically it does, but do you think it would happen?
Well, I think it definitely can happen. Forget about the OA. There's people who already would like to see that happen, right? They
Deep
have a lot,
pockets.
so they, and the OA has the deepest pockets. Now, will the OA do it? I don't know. I don't know what the OA does, you know. Um, I guess we have some experience now that the OA, because it's very limited, right? I mean, we've only been in operation for these 3 years. The OA is not an entity you can talk to or one that makes announcements. You only judge based on their activity. The activity of the OA or suspected OA addresses have been to stake for big payday and then unstake. Since then, with their stakes, they haven't done anything with staking. No new stakes, no end staking. They just let their stakes run out, and community members have been GAing them. So we don't have a lot of history about what they do. We do know that they minted Hedron
Yeah.
and put that into liquidity along with the HEX, right? There's a Hedron HEX pair, and basically sold a lot of Hedron for HEX. Maybe it was one-sided, I don't remember. And that has since been removed. So they played a little bit in there. So yeah, it's quite possible that the OA may create that bridging LP, right? And I would find that to be very possible, but I just don't know. I guess I wouldn't bet my life on it because I just don't know enough about why they would or would not do it. There might be some reasons not to. Now, would I like it to happen? Yeah, I'd like that to happen. Right? Because what it sets up, and I think this is one of the things that Johnny was getting after, what it sets up for us is the ability to nearly seamlessly move from ETH to Pulse without a sell event. And that would be very attractive.
From ETH to Pulse.
Yeah. So if
Why?
I have all these existing HEX stakes, right? And some
Yeah.
people have theorized they're just going to merge the end stake them all. But I don't know that makes sense to do that. So how do I get value from that side over to Pulse side? I either have to sell and go to a stable or USD offboard and onboard, right back in through whatever mechanisms might be out there to offboard and onboard, or I'm going to bridge, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm going through the process of bridging, if they're locked very tightly together, then a hex is a hex is a hex. So a hex on Ethereum is a hex on Pulsechain. And so if I've got 1,000 hex, I wrap it and I get 1,000, equivalent hex on the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's attractive to me. Now, how that all works out, I don't know yet.
Wait, but
We'll
why
find
can't
out.
you just why does it need to be at parity to be able to? Why can't you just bridge the hex, the EHEX, and swap it?
Oh, you could. It would just be more advantageous to me to not have to worry about the risk of price swinging on me when I'm going from one side to the other.
Ah, okay.
You know,
Saying that
which
the
it right,
direction.
which yeah, with those being linked, right, the price would be there's always be a little bit arb, but I would think that there would be if they're that heavily linked, that was your supposition, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to see the price shift.
Okay. Within what it takes like a few seconds though to bridge. It's not.
Yeah, sure, but that can mean everything.
Okay. Fair enough. And I guess he also mentioned that the OA could set the ratios with also heavy liquidity to the point where they're just going to go up together.
Mm-hmm.
And they're and base. I mean, he said it would. He said it would make Hex perform the best, but I think it would just make them all perform the same, right? He basically said he'll set the ratios between Pulse and HEX and PulseX and the liquidity pools with so much on either side that the ratios can't be changed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I heard you on a different stream mentioning that he said that.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about that. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure I've internalized that would be the case. That because somebody asked that question about the ratio always being the same, right? It would always be X amount of pulse per hex. I suppose that's possible, right? So, never say never. If you had unlimited pulse and unlimited hex, essentially, you could put a ratio in place that could not be changed.
And then I guess so if the dollar value changes, then it's arbitrage sort of thing. It's like hard to really think through, but I guess if let's say the prices move in different ways in the USD liquidity pool, that gets arbitraged by the HEX Pulse Chain PulseX liquidity pools. That's what it would mean.
Yeah, this is outside my area of expertise, but I take a stab at it. I mean, we're not talking about all pairs, right? So we're talking about a pair having that link. And so, yeah, technically, right, somebody could be putting in liquidity at a different rate that translates differently, which creates the arb opportunity, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yep.
I mean, because you're talking hex to, well, I don't know all the pairs you might have been thinking about, but let's just say we're talking hex pulse, right? On pulse chain, and those are the two that are linked, never going to change, same number, of hex per pulse through hex, doesn't matter, whichever way you go, never going to change. And somebody comes in and puts in a different liquidity on hex using USDC than on pulse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Using USDC, even that, or assuming USDC is there, so whatever the equivalent would be. So yeah, I mean, if one was going to be overpriced and drive it in a different direction, I don't know. I don't know if that'd be like really fleeting and so small that you wouldn't even see it with the naked eye, kind of like 99-cent $1 USDC,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it'd be a sore thumb, and people would see it right away. I don't know how it would look.
All right. I guess the question is, why wouldn't the OA want to do it? Because it would seem foolish for the OA to want one coin to not perform well, right? Like that's a bad look. If people got in on PulseX and then it got totally outperformed by other ones, and it's just, I mean, wouldn't it be best for everything to perform the same? What do you think?
Well, I think I'd like that, but I don't know that you can make that happen. So it depends on degrees of success. I mean, I think we would like the entire ecosystem to be successful. If you're trying to measure by dollars and percent, I don't think that matters as much, and I don't think you can control it. Now, what I mean by that is, yeah, I guess if you're a big enough player, you can start to make some things happen. But I think it's really going to depend on people. That people sell.
No, but if they bond the liquidity like so thick, right? Can't that make it happen?
Well, that they all actively act the same way. Sure.
Yeah. So why wouldn't they want it to happen?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think from that perspective, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about the prices being locked in that way, I agree with you. Why wouldn't you want to do that? I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
So I guess there's a good chance that it would happen.
Well, it's presuming that you know something that you can't know.
It's true. That is a great
So
point.
it's definitely conjecture, but it doesn't mean it won't happen.
All right, fair enough.
It's just you can't call somebody up and ask, right?
Yeah.
You can't call somebody up and say, "Oh, what's going to happen?" I don't know. I don't know, maybe we'll get some hint or something, but and in fact, maybe, I don't know, I don't know how close to being inside information that is anyways, but well, I will react to what actually happens, I think.